Lady in blue, what do you do? The world after. Lady in blue, where's the money? The lady in blue, world after. Where's the money?
Welcome to podcast number 6 from The World After. Where is the Money? By the Lady in Blue. It's all about the future for companies and how to tune into that future in order to find where the business can be found. Even for classical companies, the world is changing and your company has to functionate in the future, your internal team, and also externally. What will be the client like in that society, and what kind of services and products, marketing concepts and strategies do you have to develop in order to fit in? And for a lot of companies, it's often, we are not trendy, but you just have to look back in the future 100 years ago and you can realize that your company wouldn't functionate there. But also maybe not in the world of 20 years ago, the way your company is right now. And that makes you understand how important it is to understand how the society will be and what you can do in order to tune into that future with your identity, your core business, and how to match it with that future. Today we're going to talk about the trend cool to be old. And we're going to talk about it, what will be the results internally and the opportunities. There's a lot of opportunities internally with cool to be old. And also what will be the result externally. And that can be money, that can be business. And sometimes it also means that specific businesses, products, are no longer going to rule. So then you have to change your direction. We will explain it. It's an example from fashion and cosmetic industry. I like the fashion always as a mirror because first of all, I love it. I love the fashion. I think it's the golden border of life. But also everybody is dressing each day, almost every day. I don't know anybody who's going naked to work. So it's a reflection to the reality very nearby every human being. So very understandable. And if you want to translate things even more specific in your business, there is my service. We do training, teaching, but also many custom-made advice focusing on the future and your business. And you can find more information of our services on theladyinblue.com on the Italian way, so without the E on the end.
Lady in blue, what do you do?
Cool to be old. I started thinking about it in 2010, and I'd like to share with you how I signalized that a new trend is coming. By the time I lived in Italy, and on Saturday you have those glossies of the newspapers, and I always love to see them. And there was an image of a lady around 60 years old, and she wasn't like highly make-upped, and she was pure, and you really saw her age, and she was a cook, and she was standing there, and she had like all those pots and pans, highly one on top of the other into her shoulders, really strong. And the specific thing about her was that she wasn't famous yet on a younger age. So she became a famous cook at the age of 60. And I was like, aha, this is special. Because we had seen older people, and in general I'm talking about women because older men were already accepted, But I have an example of a man. For example, Mick Jagger. He is famous even on an older age. But only reason for that is that he became famous at a young age. So he continued being famous. And you didn't see often that people at an older age were celebrating the top of their career, of like being an important someone. And I was like, aha, this is really unique. And it made me realize that the way we look at older people would be different. And that within the older age, there's still a lot of opportunities. And let's say it, the older age is as encouraging, as strong, as open as a younger age. You see what I mean? And then if you start seeing something like that, I was like, okay, it's going to be cool to be old, as cool as it's going to be cool to be young. So the other way around, you can also say, it's not that if you're older, life stops. No. So cool to be old. Then there's another thing that we have to realize, and that is that we often assume that our beauty ideals are fixed. And that is not true. We can just look at like the way the models are right now. Their average age is between, the ideal, let's say it that way, is between 16, 25, 27. And if you picture that image of that beauty ideal young, and you put it next to a Rubens painting, you already see that what we consider as beauty right now is the age between 16 and 27, quite thin, shaped, strong, a little bit muscles. And then we look at a Rubens painting and we see that these women are like rather fat and white and bubbly and kind of like cellulitis, and so you realize, okay, the beauty ideals are not fixed. And you can also look in your own culture and then go to another culture and you realize the same. So that's the first thing we have to realize. Then what happened? This beauty ideal, which is like the beauty ideal of this age, was between 16 and 27. And that meant that wrinkles we didn't want to have. You were old. You couldn't, in our mind, we thought you couldn't work anymore. You were out of society and boring life, and it was all almost over. So we wanted to be in between 16 and 27. And for the first time, we could create that. So that we had plastic surgery and Botox. And we all could be this ideal age. And we all transformed ourselves in Barbies. And kind of Barbies. And we became, and there's a contradiction, all a little bit the same, all like the Barbies. And at the same time, and it was like really, the same. And at the same time, everything became really out of proportions. So our upper lip became too big. Our eyes were too opened. With a strange kind of like expression. Aside from the face, our breasts became too big. And, everything was out of proportions. And the first examples of rather exaggerated, over-the-top examples of the plastic surgery and the Botox became to appear. For example, Donatella Versace. And also, for example, Goldie Hawn. There are many, many examples. Sometimes we even don't realize it anymore. But it's quite hilarious, really, what you see. You almost think like, imagine you're born like that. But it's all done with a lot of effort, a lot of money, a lot of operations, a lot of Botox. And in a way, it's really foolish. At the same time, we see that there are more older women at the top of companies. We see that they started to work longer after the crises we had. And we also saw that they're more accepted in the world of business. And we see that they have good positions, adorable positions we like to use as a mirror, as an example. And for example, they are the head editor of Vogue, and they're sitting front row, etc., etc. So all of a sudden, the ideal of not being old is gone, because you can be old and still have a nice position, a nice life. We don't think, oh, I need to be young in order to have a nice life. No, you can also be older and just have this beautiful life. That's what I try to explain. And then, if that's the case, we think, okay, then it's better to be natural old, as it's accepted, than having this kind of foolish face that is like an imitation of someone of between 15 and 27. So you see this process, the mirroring of the old is not that bad anymore, and therefore the focus on the wrinkle as something bad is just gone. And also we start to realize that the idea of that a wrinkle is bad just was a part of that time. It has never been like that. And at the same time, a lot of people always adored, and even now, for example, an image of an older black woman with her breast hanging, wrinkles, and say, oh, how beautiful. Strange enough, if we look ourselves like that, we're going to use Botox and we're going to do an operation. So all of a sudden, some things in the society, and especially the fact that women at an older age are accepted, change that strange beauty ideal of between 16 and 27. The focus on a wrinkle is changing, and it means that it's gonna be cool to be old. And now the interesting part is coming. How to translate it into business in the future, and also internally, what does it mean for a company? We start internally. In fact, what happened the last years, when we were forming a team in a company, we were always thinking young, young, young. Startups were booming, and when you had an open spot for your team, everybody was automatically, even without thinking, about young, ambitious, potential people. But we forgot the older. And I understand that often the older people, for them it's difficult with the technology, but we forget that technology is not always first needed, and secondly, is not the only skill. In fact, when we form a team, it should be a little bit like a family. Everybody in a family has their own qualities. The young people and the older people. The older people have more experience. For example, the mother has experience in getting babies and how to deal with it, and she can give advice to the younger. Well, even in a team, in a company, it's good to have that, because if you have a lot of young women dysfunctionating sometimes because of the young kids, it's very nice if you have someone in the team who knows to deal with it and can give advice to the younger ones. And with the good advice, they're more productive. So in the end, you're better off as a team and have more value for the money you pay to your team. Simple as that. And also, that sounds maybe a bit strange, but also for the identity of your company, it's better. It's like when you have only a white team, What does it show to your clients if they come in? It doesn't show a good example. When you have a multicolored as well team, it's a better feeling. It's more representative. It shows that you're open-minded and even not discriminating. So that is what you want to be, right? So a multi-age team is something in the first place we didn't think of often. Automatically we only had young. It's gonna functionate better and it's good for your image. Sorry to say so, but it's true. And that's aligned with a future trend. So that's what the people are going to feel, going to look for, what it's going to be the thing. Then externally, it's an opportunity first and then somewhere a non-go. The opportunity is, for example, for magazines. Now they always show you where the young crowd is, what are the cool places, young. And in the future, that can be also the older places, the places where old people live. So imagine an living cover with the coolest high adult houses. How hilarious, but true is it? And maybe in the future, people want to go there to talk with them, to see new tendencies, new visions from another side of the society, the older side. And that's an extra dimension and an opportunity, for example, for the magazines to cover. And then we have the anti-wrinkle industry in the cosmetic industry. For all other businesses, listen to this because it's the way of thinking that opens your mind to see the future yourself and especially to translate it. Well, the anti-wrinkle industry is a billion industry, really a billion industry. And it's on the field of raw materials, so the ingredients, anti-wrinkle ingredients, and also the products. So a lot of creams like day creams with anti-wrinkle. That's what everybody wanted. And again, it's $1 billion industry. But what we have to realize with this trend, cool to be old, the focus on a wrinkle as something bad is going to disappear. We don't want it per definition. And even we see that if we don't have it anymore, like the Donatella Versace's, it's hilarious. So the wish of the future consumer to buy day creams or even sunscreens that are anti-wrinkle is not the case anymore. It means that the whole anti-wrinkle industry has to worry because their business is going to simply disappear. Now there are two things. The first thing is just go on with your product. It's your milk cow and you can make the money there. But be prepared for the future. And that is the trick. Go and think about what do they want after it. So you first see it's going to disappear. And secondly, the thing is what's going to be next. And we help companies with that. So you can just see at theladyinblue.com about our service, contact us, and we can do that for you.
Where's the money?
So you go and see what's next. And then you look at your company. What is our core business? For example, in the ingredients industry, you look at what kind of ingredients do we make? What is on the shelf? What is in R&D? What is maybe a product we could make, but we don't sell anymore? And how can we match that with that future wish? So that is the thing. And for the final product, if you're making day creams, for example, well, a day cream is not per definition combined with anti-wrinkle. So you go and think about what is a day cream for? And what other things can we do that match that future wish? And that's where the future is and where the money can be found in the future. As simple as that.
Where's the money?
Thank you for listening to podcast 6. That was an example of a trend, cool to be old, how to translate it or tune into it when you know the opportunity is there internally, and which is also good for your identity, and how to translate it into coming business with the magazine, and how to realize it can stop business with the anti-wrinkle creams. For more information, please go to theladyinblue.com without the E on the end, or at The Lady in Blue. And for LinkedIn, Antoinette van den Berg.
Lady in blue, what do you do?